Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. I woke up to strange cries. Was I dreaming? I had been having odd dreams all night, and I guessed I was still on edge. I opened my eyes and looked around. My room was quiet, just my widescreen TV and business suits hanging in the closet. My shoes and ties neatly arranged. The shrill cries were really disturbing what little sleep I had gotten. Then, I heard it again, coming from the next room. It sounded like a baby crying, and the sobs pierced my hungover head. I had to find the source. Today was my day off, and I just wanted to sleep in. I got up and left my room, not bothering to get dressed. I was in my boxers. I didn't need to dress for anyone in my own home. I walked down the hallway, checking the other rooms in my condo. The cries continued, just ahead of me. I wondered if it was one of my roommate's kids' dolls left behind by his ex-wife. No, she had picked them up already. There shouldn't have been any toys left. Frustration grew. Was my roommate playing a prank on me? He wasn't even here. He was off on his morning jog and then at the gym. Finally, I heard the noise again. It was coming from the laundry room. I had already searched everywhere else, and there was only one way into the room. No windows. Annoyed, I kicked the door open. There, on top of my laundry hamper, beside my old washing machine, was something glowing. A baby. My heart softened at the sight of this beautiful creature. I didn't know who this baby was, but somehow, I knew he was mine. My eyes locked onto him, and I couldn't look away. All my rational thoughts vanished. I should have been asking where the baby came from, why he was glowing, and why my roommate hadn't noticed him. But none of that mattered. I was completely captivated by the little one. Somehow, the baby was in my arms. I gently kissed his forehead, swaying him in my arms as I hummed. The cries had stopped. He giggled at me, staring at me as if he knew me. I felt the same way. I felt like I had given birth to him. I vividly remembered it, the joy of giving birth to him, feeling so happy. I was finally a mother. Suddenly, the baby glowed again, and memories flooded my mind. I remembered a joyful baby shower with my family and friends, the moment my water broke, the ambulance ride to the hospital, and the day I finally brought him home. I even remembered the heartache when he had to stay in the hospital a few extra days. The pain of losing my boyfriend just days before our son was born, it was overwhelming. My son was the only piece of him left. I knew these memories weren't mine, but the baby in my arms seemed to confirm them. Somehow, I felt these memories were part of me. The baby had some kind of supernatural power, there was no other explanation. I didn't want to fight it, but my instincts as a mother were too strong. I was completely under my son's influence. I had to protect him. Then, my baby began crying again. This time, it was a cry of hunger. I looked down at my chest and felt a wave of discomfort. I was flat. I had a male chest. I worked out and stayed in shape, but this felt wrong. How could I feed him? Why was I a man? I was a woman. I had given birth to my son. The baby glowed even brighter, as if trying to help me. His cry triggered a sharp pain in my body, followed by a warm sensation in my chest. My body began to change. I knew what was happening, it was what I had hoped for. I was becoming the mother I needed to be. As I adjusted the baby in my arms, I noticed my hands and arms had become more slender. My fingers were now soft and gentle, not bulky like they had been. I looked down at my stomach, and where my male six-pack once was, I saw smoother, more feminine contours. I was proud of my smooth skin, my belly button. I had worked hard to get back into shape and used creams to reduce stretch marks. I was becoming the mother I'd always wanted to be, and I felt beautiful. My son started glowing again, giggling with the cutest little smile. It was as if he knew what was happening next. Suddenly, I felt a strange sensation, my body was changing. I looked down and realized my chest had transformed in response to his needs. It was overwhelming at first, but I knew it was part of becoming a mother. As my son fed, I felt a warmth growing within me. I was providing for him in a way I had never imagined. My chest seemed to grow even more, and I instinctively adjusted myself to accommodate the changes. The physical shift was jarring but also fulfilling. The body I had once known was fading, and a new, more nurturing one was taking its place. I had been a man, but now I was a mother. The baby's hunger pangs triggered another round of changes within me. I could feel a deep connection, as though my body was perfectly adapting to his needs. I marveled at how my physical form was now designed to care for him, and I felt a sense of pride and purpose like never before. As I continued to care for my son, I couldn't help but notice how my body had softened. My hips had taken on a more feminine curve, and my once flat chest had filled out. I felt a sense of peace in these changes. This was who I was meant to be. As I gazed at my baby, I realized that this was my new life, and I embraced it fully. A sudden noise interrupted my reverie. Someone was at the door. I was reluctant to stop feeding my son, but curiosity got the better of me. I glanced down at myself, realizing my clothing had changed too. My old boxers had been replaced with soft, purple panties that felt incredibly comfortable. My curves had become more pronounced, and my soft red hair cascaded down my back. I thought about how much attention it used to get in college, and whether I would ever have the time for those little luxuries now that I was a mom. As I continued to absorb the changes in my body, my son gave a sudden, strong nibble, and I winced, feeling a shift in my lips. They were fuller and softer, a detail I hadn't noticed until then. It was surreal to realize how much had changed. I was truly becoming the mother I was meant to be. Then, the door swung open, and I was startled. My baby looked up at the door, and so did I. Standing there was my roommate, Grace. For a moment, I thought it was a stranger, but my son's glow confirmed it was her. She must have returned early from her morning routine. I had forgotten about her, lost in the moment with my son. I could see a hint of concern on her face, but I didn't like seeing her look that way. Grace had short brown hair and striking hazel eyes. Her cheeks always had a soft, flushed glow to them, making her appear almost doll-like. She had a small, delicate nose and full lips, features that many found alluring. Her curvaceous body mirrored mine, and we shared a close bond, having been through a lot together. We locked eyes as she approached. Grace had been my college friend, and she'd been living with me and my late boyfriend. After his passing, she helped me through the most difficult parts of my pregnancy. Her support had meant the world to me, especially in the emotional aftermath of everything. One night, during a particularly hard time, our relationship shifted in ways I hadn't expected. What started as an act of comfort turned into something more profound. Now, we shared an understanding and connection that I never anticipated. As Grace came closer, she removed her top. She wore the cross necklace I had given her, a symbol of our bond. It rested between her chest, and I noticed something unusual. Her body had started lactating a few days after I brought my son home. I guessed that having a baby in the house could trigger it. She had even fed him before, which I didn't mind. My son was growing, and he needed all the nourishment he could get. My son stopped feeding from me and giggled, clearly happy to see Grace. She smiled with relief, her worries dissipating as she saw his joyful face. Let me hold him and burp him. He's been drinking a lot, but he needs to remember to take a break and breathe. Grace took my son into her arms, carefully positioning him over her shoulder. The baby kicked at her, and she gently patted him until he let out a satisfying burp. I felt a twinge of sadness at the thought of him leaving my arms, but I knew he was safe with her. I rubbed my sore chest, the cool air of the room providing a little relief. So, Sophia, has our son put more memories in your head? I felt new memories flood in the moment I walked into our home. Look, he's doing it again. I noticed the soft glow coming from the baby once more. Other changes were happening. The room shifted. and in an instant, it was no longer the laundry room. It had transformed into a nursery. My son's bedroom, filled with everything he would need: diapers, toys, a rocking chair, and more. What is he? I mean, my son? No, your son. I was confused. The last glow made me question everything. He was mine, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that he was also Grace's son. I stepped back, feeling dizzy. I was glad Grace was holding him. I used his crib for support. "I'm sorry you have to go through this, Rumi," Grace began. "But, you see, my family, we're not exactly human. We're a race of magical immortals. We live among humans, but we're different. We've been around for centuries, and I've experienced countless lives. I enjoyed being a man these past few decades, but now, I'm a woman again." I was stunned, trying to process everything. Grace's words triggered memories of a time when I was a man. I remembered being a stockbroker, successful in my career. But that life felt so distant now. I didn't want to go back. "Every 10,000 years, a new immortal life is born," Grace continued. "They're born from nothingness, but they need everything once they come to Earth. They have incredible power, and reality bends to their will. We don't know where they appear, but we do know they are drawn to other immortals. This century, we've been on high alert. It was fate that the baby appeared here this morning. I had to leave to report it to my family. I'm sorry I left you alone. You were caught in his birth too." I could see Grace take a deep breath after her long explanation. Her movements were graceful, and I couldn't help but admire her presence. "So, is the baby really mine?" I asked, trembling with uncertainty. "All these memories, are they real, or just lies forced upon me by my son? Who can change reality like this?" "They're real if you accept them, Sophia," Grace answered. "If you deny them, it will cause you pain, and it will hurt your son. Newborn immortals need a human anchor and another immortal to guide them into this dimension. If you refuse to embrace him, it will slow his growth here. I can't bear to see him suffer, and I'm sure you feel the same." I looked at my son. I loved him so much, I couldn't bear the thought of hurting him. Whether he was from another dimension or not, he was my child, and I would care for him with all my heart. I gently stroked his soft, fuzzy head while Grace lovingly caressed him. The baby was getting fussy again, and I could tell he was hungry. "Our son is hungry again, Grace. Would you like to feed him this time?" "No, Sophia," Grace replied. "As much as I'd love to, he needs to bond with you. Your time here is short. You need to teach him about human morals, about mortality. He's here to learn from us all, but for now, he's all yours. Enjoy these moments." Grace passed the baby back to me, and I cradled him in my arms. I gently guided him to my other breast, now full of milk. As he latched on, I felt a sense of joy and fulfillment. My son, safe in my arms, was the greatest blessing I could ever wish for. My son glowed once more, and a thought appeared in my mind, seemingly brought on by him. "Gabriel," I said softly. "His name will be Gabriel. Don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content,